So first of all, here's Kelly. She is proper jet lagged. She was up till 4 o'clock this morning in my apartment. And I was like, hey, Kelly, how are you doing? Slept well? She's like, I was up till 4. I was like, okay, then have some breakfast. You know where the coffee is. So, but you don't drink coffee, so Red Bull it is. So yeah, anyway, I went to LA for my internship at the school that I had went to. And during my stay, I was like writing with everyone. And I mean everyone. They actually end up saying like, have you met this Swedish girl that's just like writing things with everyone? So that was like me networking for 3 months, going crazy in LA. So Kelly was one of the writers that I got to work with. And it was through a publishing company that I interned for. And one of their band had a manager before. And that manager had a writer. And then I ended up in a session with that writer. And then we were going to finish a song. And they said, yeah, we're going to have someone join us. Cool. I said, who? Keli Nicole Price. Yeah, she wrote that show. We were like, oh my God. Like, seriously, like, it's my first trip to LA. Like, first trip. So, but I never told you that. But I'll tell you something funny, though. I was so embarrassed. Okay, so we write, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm just gonna keep it cool. Gabby, you're professional, like so. And I was pretty chill, wasn't I?
Gabby was the best.
Okay, cool, yay! Oh, cute. So anyway, we finished the song.
I can just go now, can't I? I mean, this is gonna go where it needs to go.
No, but it was fun because we had the melody on the song. I should play it, but not today, maybe. Someday, or maybe, yeah.
Come on, Gabby.
Anyway, we wrote this, she wrote the lyrics together with us. And it was so funny, she went into the chorus and she's like, I was like, yeah, we've been thinking about like keep on knocking or like walking or like, but we can't think of our mind. She's like, why don't you use all of them? I was like, yeah, why not? So we just ended up using all of them, knocking, walking, talking, like, cool, good rhymes. And then we finished the song and I drove her back to her place. And for some reason, I just started to sing, I'm like, baby, I swear it's deja vu. And I didn't think about it, but I was so excited. So I sang her song in front of her. And I don't know if she noticed, but I was like, oh, yeah, see you tomorrow, like, good talk, like, bye. And I don't know if you reckon this, but I just saw myself driving next to you and, like, start singing your song, like, grooving it. Yeah, now you know. I was a super fan already, but now she's sleeping on my couch, so. I'm in. Yay. So that's cool. So that's how we met. And we just continue writing together. And I just figure, like, why, when we said, like, who's going to come and speak? Like, it's not that expensive. It's just over the sea. Like, we're okay. We figure it out. And she said yes. And now she's here. And her kids inspire themselves now. Doing okay, yeah.
They're teenagers.
They'll figure it out. So she's here now.
Not really.
Anyway, that's the story. But Kelly, I'm so thankful for having you here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I'm sitting down now.
Your background, your musical background, as a kid, how did you get started? Yes.
Well, like most African Americans, church, singing. I literally fell into writing poems. You know, didn't know it was a gift, just thought I was doing the change. You know, when you try to work through your own stuff and you just start writing and doodling. I thought that's what it was. And I was told I had a gift. My mother sings, my dad plays. So, wait a minute. First of all, I just had a Red Bull for the first time. My body is doing something. I don't know what it is. I think I'm awake, though. So yeah, it was church, singing. I started just writing poems. At some point, I wrote my first song, like a full song, and I didn't let anybody hear it. And then Missy Elliott heard me sing in a car on Christmas Day, because we're from the same hometown. And she said, when I'm ready, I'm going to come and get you. And I graduated high school at 16. I went to college. My first semester, Missy called me and said, are you ready? And I left school. You didn't have to tell me twice. You didn't have to ask me once. I was out. And I started going in the studio, and she started leaving me in the studio to demo all of her records. I didn't know anything about the business because I left school. So I'm just in there singing my heart out, you know, and then I started taking liberties and changing words and changing melodies. And then she'd come back and say, oh, I like that. Okay, let's get such and such to do it. And they would do it exactly how I did it. Again, I didn't know anything about the business, so I didn't have publishing, didn't have management. I was just happy to work. I'm 16, 17 years old. Then she took me on the road, and I'm touring, singing backgrounds, and still going into every studio with her. Then Timbaland. I'm on everybody's album. I'm demoing everybody's song. I even, at one point, there's a song called Make It Hot from 98. I sung the entire song. They put the artist on it. Her name is Nicole Ray. They put the artist on it, but she didn't sound like me. So they wanted me to go back into the studio to re-sing the song, and they put her vocal on top of mine for certain words, not even the whole song. So the top of the song, if y'all could YouTube it, seriously, there is the first verse. She says, by man he don't. And then I sung call because she couldn't sing as low. It was me anymore. We don't even kiss, right? So then the whole, all of the backgrounds were me. I got what you want, got what you need. And then the second verse, she couldn't do the second half of the verse. So they had her on the first half of the verse. The second half of the verse, all the backgrounds, ad-libs, the bridge, and the hook out were all me. I wasn't named as a featured artist. I wasn't named as a background artist. It was Nicole Ray's song, but it was my voice. So at some point, someone called me and said, you know you should be getting paid for this. You know you should be learning a little bit more. You should be a little better at this. And because I was told that, I started to ask questions. When I started to ask questions, somebody started to get mad. Because now that meant that I knew something. And like they were saying before, knowledge is power. When you know stuff, when you know more than the other person thinks you know, and then you start asking questions and you start saying, shouldn't I? Or aren't you getting paid for this? And I'm doing the work, so maybe I should be getting something. I remember going to Missy one time. It was so bad. I said to her, I'm not even getting so much as a French fry. I was like a teenager, so. But just saying that I wasn't getting paid anything for doing so much work. Eventually, I was let go from the tour, but because my name, I had a lot of proof that I'd done all the work. I got a manager, and my first check at 17 for just background work was $30,000 because of the background work that I did. And that's where I started. Well, that's when I started making money.
So we'll talk a bit about the actual sessions and that sort of thing so you can get a glimpse of what it was like to be Kelly and the other gang and just sort of get to the point where this song ends up being what this is. So, because everything starts from nothing, well, not nothing. I mean, talent is there, but the world exists by itself, and then a song comes within a day or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years or 10 years. Y'all, a Leonard Cohen story. I think in, I'll get back. I absolutely believe that. But I think Leonard Cohen, everybody knows who Leonard Cohen is. You've at least heard of him. He's like 80 now or something like that, or 85 and still on the road and blah, 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 blah. And he started being really, really famous as a folk rock storyteller in the 60s. And he, I think, 10 years ago in an interview that I read of him saying he still goes back to his notebooks from the 60s to find lyrics that he didn't finish. So on the one hand, you got to bang through a pop songwriting camp, or something has to go to the publisher, or you're going to get something to Beyoncé or to Missy or something like that, and you've got to get it done by Friday. Or you might be a songwriter that actually keeps all of your notebooks for your whole life and goes, that I remember that one from 1967. Because everybody's like, diagnosed in here, right? I mean, ADHD, OCD, whatever that is. We wouldn't do this. No one puts a gun to your head and says, do this forever. It comes from somewhere. I mean, whatever we believe where that is, it's coming through us. It is us. It isn't anywhere else. We decide to do this. But people like Dylan and Leonard Cohen and some other people really actually keep almost everything. Now you can keep everything in a laptop. If you don't actually keep everything in an archive, this is just an aside, you're sort of stupid. If you can't go back to everything, unless you just sort of feel like everything has to be today. I'm doing this today, it's impulsive, I'm that kind of writer. Completely fine. But if you had a great idea from last week and you didn't document it, that's your fault. That's just your fault. Because every idea is good, it's just not finished, if you want to put it that way. So back to this. How did you actually meet the people that put you on this particular recording session or writing session?
At one point, I had a manager. His name is Kevin Wales. I met him in Atlanta. And he just wanted to get me a publishing deal. I think kind of just to, how they were talking about earlier where some deals are good, some deals are bad, but it's your way in. It was one of those things. He wanted to make sure that I was in a different way, in a better way. So he introduced me to Rodney Jerkins, and Rodney invited me down to his house, and I stayed there. We had writing sessions, but then he said, I'm having a camp in New Jersey in my studio. This songwriters camp was 30 days. Mind you, I'm a single mother of 2, so I was like, I don't want to leave my kids for that long. But he said it's going to be worth it, and obviously it was. We went in, it was about 10 writers. Everyone wrote whatever they wanted to in different spaces. We slept, we ate, we breathed. We were like smelling each other's bad breath. People were recording in pajamas. It was like all day, all night. You just write. You leave, it's a problem. If you leave, stay gone. Like you need to stay here and just work. So we did. And this was one of the songs that came out of it. This was just one.
Do you remember how many songs sort of came? Was it a real month?
It was a 30-day boot
with
camp.
10 different writers?
Yeah.
Any estimate about how many? I mean, we'll get back to Deja Vu, but...
I want to say everyone tried to do a song a day. If you didn't do a song a day, it was between 20 and 30 songs per person. And I got 2 placements out of that boot camp.
For a lot of people, that's a whole career. And
well, obviously all the songs weren't good.
Right.
Right? And that's the whole thing about like trying to meet deadlines and stuff. It's like, let me just get something done.
Right.
But some things you kind of take your time and you fall in love with. And we fell in love with the melody.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. We're happy for that, aren't we?
So are my children.
So describe a studio session, a day. How many people are in? Do you have an engineer who's not a writer? Are some of the writers engineers? How many people are sitting around the sofa? Do you have laptops? Do you have, what have you got?
Everyone had their own laptop, but there were computers in the studio as well. And there were different studio rooms. You actually had to write in a pre-production room, or it was like more of an office space where there were cubicles.
That was Rodney's
company
office.
Absolutely.
With multiple studios.
Right.
Okay.
So you didn't make it to the big studio.
Ooh,
until he felt, yeah.
No kidding.
So we're all in the cubicles on our own laptops, grinding. And then once he thinks that it's great, he's like, okay, come on.
So did he go around from room to room, like listening in? Going sort of where
not
things
every day.
are,
He trusted us to do what we did.
Okay.
But when we finished, he wanted to hear it.
Okay. Oh.
And we had weekly meetings, and it was something.
What were the meetings like? What did you talk about?
Yep.
So anyway, next question. No, that's interesting though in a way. I mean, in Sweden here, almost everybody who works in a company setting will have like a Monday meeting, right? I mean, we live for Monday meetings. For one, that's where you get to drink like a bucket load of coffee right after the weekend, and it's on purpose and it's legal, and you just get to start the day cranked, talking deep thoughts. Yes, the Monday meeting. But I've been in situations where it's been like this as well, like Kelly was saying, where you actually have, it's a writing camp, it's creative, but it's supposed to be commercial on a certain level, and like Alphonse was even talking about before, the round table kind of thing. You have to get people in the same room talking about the same idea, even if they don't get along. Yeah. Or even if they fucked over your idea the day before by sort of like being, sort of like a heavyweight and sort of taking over the session, which I've heard happens every once in a while. Someone gets a little too aggressive.
That happened.
every once in a while. Oh, yeah. But it's interesting to actually have it be built into a commercial songwriting camp as well. You know, so not only is everybody being creative, but you're sort of reporting to each other about where things are going. I think that's pretty great, actually.
I'll say
or
this.
it was really horrible.
It was a little bit of both.
Okay.
You get broken down a lot, you know, and your
that's
spirit gets broken a little bit.
Because
You don't have anybody outside to talk to. It's
Right.
all just your peers.
And my Dr. Phil self says, if one is open enough to the writing process, you're also a little emotionally vulnerable.
Absolutely.
So if someone sort of comes down on you, it's very difficult to...
Because if I'm creative, this is my creative space, this is what I do, this is what we all do. So don't talk about what I do. You know, don't put down what I do, because it's what I do, it's what I love. You know, it's how I feel. It may not be what you like, you know, but I think that's all kind of subjective. I don't think anybody should have that much of an opinion or that much of a say about your creative space. I just don't.
Well, okay, to follow, everybody understand that. As a teacher and as a producer and that sort of thing, I'm just going to follow Kelly's logic and before we go on to another question. The idea of getting critique or criticism, it is very difficult. It's hard to have a conflict where we are open when we're in the studio, absolutely. But if there is a lack of hierarchy in the creative milieu, maybe that's why producers exist. Where at a certain, if you can just talk about that, maybe just to follow that logic up, that on the one hand, I don't want you telling me that my song is shit when I just opened my heart up yesterday to get all this work done. But what if the producer or the artist actually has input and it's that part of the process? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, I think it's a matter of, and tell me if I'm the only one, when you have an idea, don't you just need to get it out? You know, rather than stopping and asking questions and, do you like this? Do you like that? What do you think about this? Like, let me just get the idea out. Let me get what's in my heart out first. So a lot of times it would be stopped in between and we would get kind of interrupted with the ideas. This wasn't one of those situations. This was a bit more organic. But yes, when the producer comes in and he says, okay, let's all have a vision and let's be on the same page. Let's say what we want the song to be about, so everybody knows what the song is about. Then we come around with the melody, which is how we did this song. We did the melody first. We didn't have any lyrics. The only thing that was there was a bass line. That's all we had. So we came up with 50 different melodies. And then Rodney said, okay, this is the verse. This is the chorus. This is the B section. Now write it. So it was so much that we didn't have to question at that point. But other times it was, well, I just want to write about love because I love him and I just miss my boyfriend and I just need to get this out of my system. To tell me that that's bad was a little, you know, it's a little hurtful because I was feeling that. And that's really all that I could write that day, you know. And it wasn't a good song, obviously, because that one didn't get placed. But my boyfriend loved it at the time. We have since broken up. No, but... So it's just I just think it's a matter of someone does have to be there to make sure that the idea is the same for every songwriter, every, I guess, producer, if there's more than one producer. But if you're doing it yourself, just get your idea out. I'm just a believer in that. Get it out of your system.
When I'm producing records, I do actually the Gordon Ramsay, Dr. Phil kind of thing really, really quickly. But what I want, to follow that logic, what I want the guitarist to do, what I want the drummer to do, is actually what they did in pre-production or what they did during their rehearsal. I'm not going to stop people right away, but I want to hear what you did, I want to hear a great version of what you did, and then now let's start making decisions.
Absolutely.
Now is not the time to have a coffee break for like 5 hours and talk about how creative we are. It's like, no. This is what the band does. This is what our last rehearsal was. Now let's get to work. These are the puzzle parts. And I try to do it in such a way, like a good producer would, where it's a team effort. It is to make everything get better faster, not to just jump in on somebody and say, no, you can't play that. But play it now and stand up for it. And then we see where we are.
Yeah.
But it's a delicate thing.
It is, because we're creative people. We're sensitive about our shit.
And our shit's always good.
Every time.
Yo, okay. Back to the process. You sort of talked about that, but the demo stage. The demo stage was in the room by yourself. In the cubicle by yourself, and then you bring. Can you talk through the process a little bit? Demo in the cubicle. You present that. Rodney says blah 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 blah. Then you get into a bigger room with more people. Or how did that go for this song?
Actually, because this song was pretty much in the cubicle, I recorded the vocals, myself and Delisha, she's one of the co-writers. We recorded the vocals perfectly. Like, I mean, not to toot my own horn, but no, we did a really good job. We were all in. We were really involved in this song. We loved it. So once we finished doing this part, we pretty much just turned it in as a song. They loved the song. One of our meetings, congratulations on the song. We love the song. We're going to see what we can do with it. We're going to try to get it placed. Beyonce was not one of the perspective artists.
Who was the sorry.
I don't know.
Who was the first list?
She wasn't mentioned though. No. It was like a J-Lo and some other people.
But was it the kind of thing where Rodney and his people actually said, we're thinking of these 3 artists for these kinds of songs? Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
And then about 6 months later, we heard that Beyonce recorded it.
Which is going to be the next 10 or 15 minutes of this interview.
Right.
So I hope you really enjoyed how wonderful the process was up to now.
Because it's about to get
Because
bad.
now the shit's going to hit the fan. And we don't send the checks back. No, we're very happy about that. But because when I sent you those, it was interesting because I sent her a bunch of questions about 3 weeks ago after Gabby and I talked and did my homework and what do you think about this? And the answer was amazing. Not that I'm surprised. I've been in so many situations where everybo's happy, everybody's sad, the band is really, really doing well, the drummer gets fired. I mean, it's just like all of it. It just is what it is. When did you know your part of the writing was approved as a final? So part of the answer was, in the writing camp, they said, okay, we're accepting this song as a pitchable song.
Correct.
Right, okay, everybody get that. So in the writing camp, was the
So
production.
what we did was accept it. There were no changes being made. We're going to shop the song as is.
How much of the production changed between that and getting it out with Beyonce and Jay-Z?
All of it.
All of it, okay.
All of production, none of the writing, none of the lyric and melody, but all
right.
of
I just want to
the
make that
music.
really, really clear. The legal part and the creative part of the writing was exactly what it was. What the track ended up sounding like was completely different. Different tempo?
No.
Different
Just different instrumentation.
Different key area?
No.
Key area is the same, all the writing's the same, tempo's the same.
Yes.
Yo, great.
There are just added instruments, which is just work for hire stuff.
Right,
It's
exactly.
Just,
People like me.
Yeah.
In the old days when you actually hired really, really great percussionists.
But now we're all great percussionists.
Because we can press a button where it says great percussion. I'm going to come get you all. And you found out that Beyonce had cut the song because... Oh, where were you when you actually heard it?
I was in my grandmother's kitchen.
You were in your grandma's kitchen? And the new Beyonce single comes out?
Was on the
and
radio.
It's like, holy crap,
Yeah.
I wrote that.
I started getting emails about the song, and I'm like, why am I getting emails about Deja Vu?
Because people were hearing it.
Yeah.
Wow.
They were hearing it, and they were trying to license it. I didn't know anything. I'm like, well, what is happening? First of all, because I thought I had a publisher. I was signed to Rodney Jerkins. If they aren't handling my business and it's coming to me, then what's happening? I couldn't tell.
Which is the next question. Everybody be ready to be really unhappy about how much control we don't have. You had Rodney and Rodney's company as your representative, as a
Yes.
publisher, hypothetically, pitching the stuff, answering to you. Can you talk about the relationship you sort of told me you didn't have with them telling you what they were doing with your song?
There was no communication between the songwriters camp and the song being released. All the information that I received was after the fact. And that was because of disputes with splits. The song, I don't even remember when the song came out, but we didn't get paid for like 6 months. We didn't get anything
At
for
all.
nothing. Even with the sync licenses with movies, with TV and everything, we got nothing because all the splits were being held up. We couldn't agree.
Why? Okay. Ooh, y'all.
Well, there were two names on the song that we didn't know were there. There was Beyonce Knowles, and there was Jay-Z. Now, Jay-Z did write his rap.
Because the rap is his. Those raps are
Absolutely.
his.
Yeah, I didn't write that.
Right, okay.
But
Beyonce had her name on the cut.
Yeah.
Because Beyonce said she wants her name on the cut.
Because she's Beyonce. Yeah.
Oh.
And it was non-negotiable.
Right, everybody understand that? I've heard this happen a zillion times. The artist who has the power, the artist who is going to make a song an international hit, they get the track through a producer or a publisher like Rodney, who has a team of writers working on a project. Those songs get pulled into a pool of songs. Those get pitched. Some of them get on hold, and some of them get finals. You get a Beyonce final, almost everybody who's at that point, especially if it's not Kelly on the phone or with Beyonce saying, that's my song, that's my name, please just, send me all the paperwork. If that's not the relationship, if the publishing company is supposed to do it, and like we talked about before, when Alphonse was talking about, when we were talking about transparency and where the money comes from and where the names are and all that other stuff, it is important to follow the money and follow the power. That's the other thing. You follow the power. Beyonce had the power. Jay-Z had the power. Not that they're assholes. They weren't involved in this.
They're great business people.
They weren't involved in the process. But if you're them and you go, that's my next single, then everybody who represents you is going to then go back down through everybody and go, just tell them that this is the non-negotiable deal. This is it. These are the splits. Beyonce gets first billing, or the song doesn't get released. Everybody understand that?
And actually, before that conversation happened, the song was released. So it was even more of a non-negotiable thing because you hear your song on the radio, right? You hear your song on the radio, and then you get a call afterwards saying, well, Beyonce gets 20%.
Whoa.
Yeah. On every song that she does, by the way. That's
just
her, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So your song is on the radio, then you get a call about your publishing being basically taken away. And then it's like, well, do I fight?
Right. Oh.
Do I fight it? Because it's on the radio. I'm going to make something. And that's what we were talking about earlier was 100% of nothing or 1%, which is not what I got, or 1% of something. Like, what are you fighting for? Do you fight against the machine? Which could really help you. It's a horrible deal. But it was the one sacrifice that I've made in my career. And the best thing I've ever done was just say, okay.
Oh. For your mental health.
Yeah.
And the checks weren't horrible.
No, and they're still coming.
And they're still coming. The gift that keeps on
So,
giving.
I mean, I'm sure without her 20%, it would have been more. Without her taking that much. But it was just a whole lot of, bad business, not on their part, but on everybody else's part. We didn't take care of things. And when certain things are non-negotiable, and you don't have great representation, and your publisher is on a break because you're signed to a person and not a company, so you don't have the machine fighting for you. It gets a little messy, but then you just really have to make a decision. What do you want to do? Do you want to keep doing this, which is probably one of the hardest things, one of the hardest questions to ask yourself when someone is literally saying, I'm going to take what you did, put my name on it, even though you worked for it, even though I've never met you, I'm going to take something of what you did. Not just from you, but from everybody on the song except for Rodney. I'm going to take from you. I'm going to play this song. I'm going to sing it. I'm going to perform it. And, I wish you well. What do you do? I said yes.
Right. Kelly had already been in showbiz a while by then. But it's the ticket to the biggest time. I mean, that's A-level songwriting. A friend of mine in Los Angeles is a folk rock producer-writer named Joe Henry. Joe is married to Melanie Ciccone. Last name sound familiar? Melanie is Madonna's sister. Similar thing. Don't Tell Me, with that hip sort of like chopped up guitar riff, you know, that she did with the cowboy hats and all that other stuff like 10 years ago or something like that. Gigantic hit for Madonna. The exact same thing happened. Joe had written the song. He writes his own folk rock songs and releases them. He's got his own career. He happens to be Madonna's brother-in-law. Blah, 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 blah. Here's a new song. Here's a cassette. You know, what are you doing, Joe? How you doing? Madonna's, you know, there for Christmas dinner, you know, blah, 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 blah. And then Joe finds out that there's a new song. There's a new Madonna single called, you know, Don't Tell Me. Yaha. The guitar lick and most of the song is his lyrics and the original, you know, refrain and all that other stuff, taking his track to sort of like become a Madonna track. Even being, I'm not bad-mouthing her because it's statistically true, being the sister-in-law, she still did the Beyoncé thing. If you have to say yes, and we're all adults. I mean, Madonna and Joe are like my age. And it was like the management said, just say yes to the publishing split that Madonna says, because that's going to be the next single, and just say yes. Of course, Joe being the brother-in-law, it was like, and, by the way, me saying yes means I get this and this and this and this and this. He didn't get a new house, but he got some stuff from Madonna. But
I wish I was related to Beyonce.
Well, I was going to say that if you've got another phone call to make it. But I think Kelly did exactly the right thing. After the Rodney thing worked and didn't work, if you look at it both ways, really, really successful, really shitty deal, bad feelings. After that, how did you then go about dealing with getting a publisher, changing your publishing, how you were going to be as a songwriter? Because inside that world, more people who knew who you were, right, as a co-op. Right. So the good news was, you know,
my status was raised a little bit.
Right, exactly.
We were nominated for 3 Grammys, and then we won a Grammy, and you know.
Yes.
All because we gave up 20%. No, I'm joking.
That's so cool. It's so bad, but it's so. But there you go.
Kind of great.
So what happened business-wise, or where did you go after that?
Well, I don't have a relationship with Rodney anymore. But I just found out a lot about myself, what I like and what I don't like. I found out that I'm not a fan of publishing deals. I'm a fan of them when you're in your teens and 20s. I'm a fan of taking chances. I am now in my 30s. No chances. Like, I'm going to do what I love and what I want and what I feel is right. So I fight a different cause now after fighting, you know, or releasing that. I'm like, okay, now I'm going to do what I really want to do. So there are no publishing deals on the table for myself at this point. And if there are, they have to be what I want them to be. And like they were talking about earlier, you are the one, you control this. And I was one of those people that made decisions for money, by the way. The best advice I ever got was don't stop making decisions like you're broke. And basically saying you see a number on your publishing deal and you're like, oh, that's money. But you don't see it's like they take 75% of all of your publishing, and you know, you have to have, what is it, like 3 songs, which really is 300%. I'm only a writer. So if I co-write, that breaks it down so much. So that means if I'm just doing lyric and melody, I'm already at 50% per song. So now it says 3 songs, but which really means 6 50% songs. Now we break it down even further. If I'm co-writing with somebody, then I'm down to 25% per
Everybody
song.
understand that. It's how the splits are sort of divided depending on how many writers and also the deal.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, and they say years on your publishing deal, but years really means when the deal is finished. It's not 3 years. It's not 5 years. It is when the deal is finished. Like, that's the minimum amount of time for your publishing deal. It's so many things that I didn't know because nobody explained it to me. I was just looking at the dollar amount. So at some point, at this point, really, I just got hip to it. It's not really something that I want to do, and I want to run it. I want to be in control of it. And I say all of that to say, pretty much to piggyback off of what you all said, you control everything that you do. You are the creator. No one can move or do anything without you, period. If you say no, then it's no. If you want to fight against something, then fight against it. If you want to go with it, go with it. But you are in control of it. If you want a publishing deal, get a publishing deal. Just make sure that it works for you. Make sure that the numbers, not the money, but make sure that the percentages and the years work for you. Like he said, what did he say? Do 3 years, not 20, you know? And sometimes they will try to get you for all that time. And make sure that they pay you what you're worth, you know? Make sure that they're taking care of certain expenses as well. Just know that you're paying all of that back, plus your advance, plus admin stuff. Just know that it's not just, you know, the standard. It's not just what's written there. It's a lot of other stuff that you have to know. And it's all about being, just being smart about your business. And again, just knowing what you're worth. Whether you've had a song placed or not, you own your creativity. You own your brain. You own, you know, your writing. You own your melodies. Don't let anybody take advantage of that, no matter what. It's just not worth it, unless it's for Beyonce. Literally within 1 week of the song just being out.
Wow.
My phone rung so much. First of all, you don't even know who has your phone number or your email. I'm in different states. I'm like traveling, I'm working, and I'm like, how do you know who I am, where I am, what I'm doing? I heard you were in town. Can you come by this session? We're doing a session for da-da-da. I'm like, how do you even know? But it raises your status to that point. When you write something, first of all, it's Beyonce is one of the biggest. People just want to know who you are. They don't really care if you're good or not at that point because you've kind of been validated by that artist already. They just want you around. They just want to, they kind of want to be a part of who you're about to be, who you're going to be, what you're about to do. They want to be a part of that. Oh, she was Beyonce's writer. That's all they really want. It can be a horrible song. It could be the exact same song. They just want to say, she wrote da-da-da-da. She wrote Deja Vu. She was Beyonce's writer. Now she's doing this. Within 1 week, I was on the road. I was making money per session, which a lot of times songwriters don't make money. It's the producer, right? They were like, we'll pay you for this. We just want you to come in. We just want you to listen. Like, I didn't even have to write sometimes. I was like, really? You can make money from that? I didn't, within 1 week. And then I remember I was in my mother's living room writing with a friend of mine. And I got a phone call from CSAC, and they said, you've been nominated. No, congratulations. I was like, for what? And they said, you've been nominated 3 times. For what? That wasn't even a dream. That wasn't even something I thought about. That wasn't something that I thought was achievable. I just like to write songs. I just love music. But after that was a whole different level because now you're a Grammy-nominated songwriter. So now you get paid for speaking and singing and looking and just being, and it's kind of nice.
Thank you.
The only person, can I ask that? I'll
Sure.
answer that first. The only female that I've worked with and a producer, was Missy. And she's home for me. She's where I started. She's probably the most respected person I'll ever say I respect. Because she taught me a lot, good and bad. But she taught me pretty much everything I know. She started me in that way. And she's been consistent. Like, she's doing her little comeback thing, all right? But yeah, Missy's like the only person that I know of that I really respect in that way.
I love Missy so much.
She's kind of amazing. Yeah. I think it's really whatever works for the moment and whatever works for the song. If you do have someone that you're working towards, which I don't prefer, I just want to write really good songs. But some people need a reference, a point of reference. So if you know that it's a Rihanna song, you need a pop, you need a ballad, you need to sound like this and that, then sometimes it's easier for you to write. For myself, I just kind of prefer to write. I just really want to be in a creative space. I don't have any real preferences when it comes to that. Do you? What's your preference?
Yeah, I normally sit by the piano and just sing and like write the text at the same time, just improvise, and then I record it, and then I go back and break the parts
I
out.
admire that. I really do. I really do. I think that's such a beautiful space to be in. I really do. I'm going to learn how to play the piano today, okay? I want to be like you. No.
So do you sing? So how is your process? Do you sing like?
Since I started singing, that's the first thing I do.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, the lyric and melody come in together. Sometimes it's only melody. But for the most part, if I have a melody, I have words that I want to come with it. I have some kind of intention behind it. And I'm a stickler for a key. Like, it can't be a happy key in a sad song. I just don't like that. I'm like, make me sad all the way. Give me a minor key, please. And I guess I'm like him in that way where I could probably make a lot of people cry. I love a sad song. It's so emotional. But yeah, that's me. The only instrument is my voice. I can sing anything.
I need to hear that. Because that's my only instrument too, and I've been like very doubtful about
trust
having to learn
ears.
everything and know everything about everything, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna do what I do best and go from there. And
that's
I'm sure
the
that I'll
thing.
learn during my process.
Just make sure it's your best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
be a half-ass.
Yeah,
Make sure, because people need to trust you. Not just you need to trust you, but people need to know that she knows what she's talking about. She may not play anything, but she can tell me what to play. She can sing it to me, and I'll sing a bass line in a minute. No, don't play that. Play ba da da ba ba ba.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's what you have to do. So make sure it's your absolute best. Yeah. You don't have to know everything, but you have to know you to perfection. Okay.